Amber is here. Nandini also after a long time. Very good. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Nimittam manashchakshuradipravrittau
Nimittam manashchakshuradipravrittau
Nirastakhilopadhirakashakalpaha
Nirastakhilopadhirakashakalpaha
Ravirlokacheshta Nimittam yathayaha Sanityopaladhisvarupohamatma Yamagnyushnavan Nityabodhasvarupaha Manashchakshuradinyabodhatmakani Pravartantamashritya nishkampamekam Sanityopalabdhisvarupohamatma Mukhabhasako darpane drishyamanaha Mukhatvat prithaktvena naivasti vastu Something Chidabhasako something. I'll find it. 1 second. Yeah. Chidabhasako dhishu jivopi tadvat
Chidabhasako dhishu jivopi tadvat Sanityopaladhishvarupohamatma
Yatha darpana bhava abhasahanau
Yatha darpana bhava abhasahanau
Mukham vidyate kalpanahinamekam
Mukham vidyate kalpanahinamekam
Tathadhi viyoge nirabhasako yaha
Tathadhi viyoge nirabhasako yaha
Sanityopaladhisvarupohamatma Manashchakshuradevi yuktasvayam yaha Manashchakshuradevi yuktasvayam yaha Manashchakshuradirmanashchakshuradihi Manashchakshuradirmanashchakshuradihi Manashchakshuradeeragamyasvarupaha Manashchakshuradeeragamyasvarupaha
Sanityopaladhiswarupohamatma.
Very nice. Beautiful. So, the imagery of the face and the mirror took a little time to understand, but I think everybody got it now. How many faces are there? One. Okay? And so we have the reflected face, which is mithya. Correct? The reflected face, there's only one thing to say about the reflected face, that it is entirely dependent upon the medium. Right? Which is the medium? The reflecting medium. Whether it's a stainless steel, pan that you're looking at, or you're looking at a mirror or some polished surface like a glass. Sometimes you go by the shop window and then suddenly stop to do your hair because the face is reflected there. So it doesn't matter which one you're talking about. That reflected face is not the real face. Correct? Yeah, it's not the real face, because the real face is free of reflections. That is the whole idea in verse number 5. It's free of anything that is to do with any dependency on any other medium. So the reflection is mithya, correct? And what happens to the medium of reflection? That is also mithya. It is not said, but we have to extrapolate. The reflected medium is also not apart from this consciousness. And so this is the example. So there are three things: real face, reflected face, mirror. Okay? Now what do they correspond to in the example? So this is drishtanta and darshtanta, that which is exemplified. So the face is equal to consciousness. Okay? And the reflecting medium, the mirror, so to speak, is equal to? Huh?
Could you repeat the question?
Exactly. So yes, this is what it's all about. So the real face is equal to consciousness. Okay? So in the example there are three entities. What are they? Face, mirror, and then what's the third one? Reflection. Abba. Okay. So now in the exemplified, face is equal to consciousness. Mirror is equal to?
Ignorance.
Yeah, they are all mithya, but mirror is equal to what?
Ignorance.
Buddhi, mind. Yes. The mirror is equal to the intellect. Okay? Yeah. And what is the reflected face?
How can I say ignorance?
It's a ignorance, and as a result of the ignorance there is anyatha grahanam. Anyatha grahanam means the mirror is spotty. Why? Because it hasn't been cleaned. So the mirror is full of dust, dirt and fog. Okay? Because sometimes there is fog, you come out of the shower and you cannot see anything in the mirror. So the mirror is foggy, and so here the fog in the mirror, when you look at yourself, and then immediately the person thinks, I am foggy, correct? Yes. Foggy aham asmi. That is called anyatha grahanam. Yeah, foggy or fogini, if you want to make it feminine. Yogi, yogini, foggy, fogini, correct? Yeah, so fogini aham asmi. If I say, I am fog itself, or I am all foggy. So if I say that, then what has happened is that the ignorance has made me taken the attributes of the mirror and projected them on the face. Correct? So too the reflected face exemplified in the upadhi buddhi things. So when the buddhi jumps up and down, buddhi here means the whole mind, emotions, etc. So the mind is like a monkey, it swings from one thing to another. And so the monkey mind jumping up and down leads the ahankara to the conclusion, the I notion to the conclusion, I am jumping up and down. And that's why everybody will tell me I am in a state. You are not in a state. You are the observer of the state, which is stateless, stateless, having no state. Like that fellow, who was the whistleblower for the NSA. Yeah, Snowden. He is now snowed in Russia. And so he is right now stateless. America will not have him. He will be arrested there immediately. His citizenship is heavy on him, a burden. And then every country is kind of courting him but not really offering him anything, specific. So like this, that's why he is snowed in Russia and he is sitting there. And so like that, the Atma is stateless, If it were actually to enter any body, mind, sense complex, like Snowden entering America, it will be imprisoned by that as it were, correct? It will not get out. So really speaking, it doesn't enter any body, mind, sense complex, really speaking. It as though blesses it because the presence and the satta, the presence, and the spurti, the chit, that consciousness, that awareness, and that presence which cannot be separated from the Atma, which are its properties, which are its description, so to speak, which are its very Swarupa definition. It blesses everything without becoming any one thing. So really speaking, when you withdraw, that's why it's important to withdraw the mirror, So the mirror corresponds to what? Buddhi. So, withdraw the buddhi means how are you going to understand the rest of the class? Cognitively, as though. Withdraw the buddhi means sit in the place of the observer of the buddhi. Withdraw the buddhi means we may as well say Purnamadaha Purnamidam. What is the point? So sit in observation of the buddhi. Withdraw yourself from the buddhi, from identifying with the buddhi. That I is present consciousness alone. That conscious presence, that ever ready, ever available, always present, never afflicted by the afflictions of the body, mind, sense complex. Get in touch with that. How to get in touch with that? Should I SMS Atma? Hey Atma. No, actually, grammatically it should be Hey Atman. Yeah. Vocative case. So, should I say Atman, where are you? Respond to me, no? Because it's me itself. The one who is wanting to get in touch with Atma is who? Happens to be Atma. Is you. So, how to get in touch with myself? Well, try not to be in touch with yourself. Oh, that I know how to do very well. I know how to be absent. I know how to check out, I know how to check out. I know how to dissociate. I'm the master of disconnection. I have the universal blessing of alienation. I know how to check out. Well, that is as though checking out. The one who says, I don't like being checked out, or I notice that I'm checked out, is very much checked in. Yeah. Checked into the phenomenon of feeling checked out. That's very interesting. So that is the final observer. Don't say who observes Atma. There is no answer to that. You cannot find another Atma observing this Atma observing. It's not some kind of a chain of hierarchy of overseers in a factory, where all the jiva assembly line, miserable jivas on the assembly line are having a bad time. No. This is permanently checked in Atma. I told you Alupta Drik. Then the non-blinking eyes. Pujya Swamiji always shows like this. No eyelids. So it sees everything, but it doesn't become any one thing. It does not get affected by what it sees. It just simply is. And so what happens? So what happens is this, that when you withdraw the mirror, so to speak, there need not be any fear that, in the exemplified situation here, we are asking you to say tata bye-bye to the buddhi. No. We are not asking you to take leave of your senses, withdraw from the buddhi. No. Withdraw just means take a little inner space. To have some, cultivate that inner space which is already there. Discover that inner space, cultivate that inner space, as it were, to see that you are the observer of the mind. How to do that? Huh? How do I do that?
Meditation.
Meditation, yeah. Answer always comes. Little late, but it comes. I'm very pleased about that. Meditation, very simple. If you sit, you start observing, you sit and you start with observing the body, observing the senses, observing the sounds around you, and then you say, I am going to now observe the thoughts. That is observing the buddhi, observing the mind. That is what observing the mind is about. And then when you get to the place of abiding in the observer more than abiding in what is observed, this is the differentiation. Generally the jiva abides in what is observed. This is the jiva's bread and butter. What shall I do now? What shall I do now? Oh, what's going there? What's coming here? Very quickly the abidance in oneself gives way to certain distractions. And to make matters complicated, all so-called distractions are Atma. Really, there is nothing other than the Atma. But since we are talking of a pursuit, it doesn't work to say in the beginning that whatever I pursue is Atma, so I'm going to go to a movie, because movie is Atma, movie is not away from Atma. And disco is Atma, movie is Atma, restaurant is Atma. Everything is Atma. So I can do whatever I want because I can never go away from Atma. This is objectively true, no doubt. But we are talking of the person who is in the process of knowing. We are talking of the person with a nascent understanding that, okay, I am other than what I observe. You see, first you say there are two things. What are they? Atma and Anatma. Only two things. Dvau hi padarthau, Atma Anatmanau. Only two things. So first, because it is tangled up in one way and not the other, Anatma cannot remain without Atma. Can you say it the other way around? Atma also cannot remain without Anatma. And they have a lovely codependent relationship, Atma and Anatma.
No.
Forever married and forever miserable. No, you cannot say that. Whereas Atma, Anatma depends entirely on I, Atma. The I is independent of everything else, so it's a very tricky relationship. You see? It's a very tricky relationship. And so therefore, the one who is not very sure or clear about, for the one who is not very sure or clear about the knowledge, the technique of withdrawing the mirroring medium is recommended. And what kind of a strategy is this? It is a temporary strategy. Because we are not into separation and withdrawal all the time, or even the observation into witnessing. Because it's good to get into the so-called Vedantin's witness box. Because if you are not witness, you are witless. That's what happens. Small difference but big difference. So it's good to get into the witness box, but the witnessing also requires a subtle duality, correct? Mm-hmm. Witness, witnessed. But it is far superior than identifying with what is witnessed, because then one is like a bottom feeder, like the shrimp in the sea of samsara. You keep feeding on all the waste things and feeling sad, cannot rise above. and this kind of a situation. So to identify with Anatma is a very low rung samsaric way of living, because all the time I am afflicted by that with which I identify. And so to elevate myself spiritually from this samsaric ocean floor, what do? I just start to get into the box of the observer and make a subtle distinction between I, which is untouched by anything, and not I, which is not I. Simple. And anything that I can observe is not I. Anything that I can objectify is not I. Anything that I can witness is not I. The I is the Swarupa of the witness. This is baby Vedanta, taught to toothless babies, the one who are still yet to cut their first Tattvamasi tooth. This is what is taught to the first lesson, correct? But it's an important lesson. And it's a very safe way to proceed in the teaching, because I have the safety of the witness box, and even if I am under the deluge of samsara, I keep telling this is as though, this is as though, this is as though, this is as though, correct? So I am always saved from completely identifying with it, and even if I identify with it, then I notice it completely and correct. I have the mechanisms to correct that identification because I sit in the witness box. Now, this is only half the story, correct? So the withdrawal of the buddhi means withdrawing it to a place of safety and non-identification with the mirrored object. Yeah, that is what it is. So then when the buddhi is withdrawn, what happens is that withdrawn means you first get into the place of the observer. Then after establishing oneself, when one can witness things easily without getting frustrated or afflicted by what one witnesses, then it is not, there comes a time where the witnessing happens as it were naturally. That's the next stage. So first stage, consciously drag myself out of the dragnet of samsara and put myself in the witness box. Stage 1. Stage 2, I do it as many times as is needed to be able to be comfortable in this identity of the witness. Comfortably abide the identity of the witness so that it becomes a natural stage. Stage 3, with more studies and more meditation, more inner space. Stage 3 is basically letting the witness resolve. I'm no longer scared to have that separation. So I allow the witness to resolve into what? Into itself. Where else will it resolve? Into its own nature. So I'm not, I still am. The face still is there, correct? Yes. But I'm not hyper vigilant about my identity as a witness. So, that is stage 3, that I allow the witness to abide in its own Swarupa. And this, in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, it says, Swaswarupe Avasthanam. Yoga Sutra number 3 or 4, I think. First is Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is often mistranslated as yes, thank you. Stop thinking. We don't recommend that. You have to interpret this properly. Then the second is, this is the second sutra, I think. Swasya Swarupe, in one's own Swarupa, Avasthanam, the abidance in one's own Swarupa, and then Ishvara Pranidhanam, surrender to Ishvara, all this, or maybe that is second one and this is the next one. We have to look into it. But the two are there together. So similarly here, the witnessing stops on its own. It's no longer, first it is naturalized, then because it's no longer contrived, And then you don't need that witnessing, you don't need that protective boundary between you and Anatma, because the Anatma has become tiny. Small, small little things. Before they were big lions and tigers that were out to get the Atma. Rrrr. You know, they were just pouncing. They were swallowing this Atma up. There were alligators, lions, tigers, all these big, big non-vegetarian animals. And then what? Ready to eat this vegetarian Atma. And then with practice of witnessing them, as though one is going to a zoo, you know, they are on the other side, they are not me, they are in their own Swasvarupe, they are Avasthanam, I am Avasthana here, and I am here, and I am, you know, they are not me, they are not having any effect on me, I am that pure Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupa Atma, nothing is doing anything to me. So for the person who kept saying that, then after that you don't need that zoo wall boundary, because suddenly you find that they have become Lego animals, like these wooden toy animals and toy tigers. This is what happens as you grow to all the troubles that assail. And this is the way of measuring self-growth. Nobody else can do it, thank God. You alone have to do it for yourself. Because all the things that appeared huge, you know, like pythons and cobras and big, big troubles, suddenly become tiny. Why? Because my vision has grown. I have eyes only for the biggest thing that there is, which is myself alone, my own Swarupa. And all other things are like these tiny little things. You know, we have this very allegorical book called Gulliver's Travels. One time, first he goes to the land of giants. This is very metaphorical. And this land of giants, he is a tiny fellow, always he is afraid somebody will trample him, you know. And he has to escape this way, that way, and with great difficulty he makes friends, all very allegorical. Makes friends with those people that he is scared of, all within happening. And then the next time he wakes up, you know, he is marooned on another island. What is that island? Lilliput. Land of the Lilliputians. And they are little fellows, tiny fellows, and he is like a Kumbhakarna in their land. When Kumbhakarna lay down to sleep, you had a doubt, you know, whether it was a man or a mountain, you know, because that's how he was. And so he was like Kumbhakarna in the land of these tiny people. And they would say, stay away from us, because they were scared of him. Otherwise we'll shoot. And what were their, you know, bows and arrows like? They were tiny, like little thorns. At the most he would go just like this. They would all shoot. And they had a commander-in-chief also. Like all thousands of them would shoot their arrows, and he would just scratch as though 1 or 2 mosquitoes had bitten. You see? You see the change? Going scared all the time. This is the jiva, which is needing that distinction, atma, anatma. And then what? Now everything is just a little bite, a little mosquito bite. Not the one carrying dengue and malaria. Just a local mosquito. All this you have to spell out, you know. Yeah. Because not all mosquitoes are safe. Yeah. Local Eugene mosquito, fed on organic sap, tree sap. Poor thing, what it will do, you know. Yeah. And this is what it is. And so here we have this beautiful way which is talked about in this verse, that abhasahano, you know, when the reflecting medium, so to speak, is not there, you know, then what happens? Then that reflecting medium is really the buddhi itself, which morphs into various modes of identification with the anatma. So we have a step-by-step procedure to put this buddhi, first to starve this buddhi of the anatma diet, because it is addicted to junk food, this buddhi, of all these distractions, here, there, everything. So then you cleanse it out, shake it out, put it in the witness box so it just witnesses without touching and knows that it is untouched, and that it being its natural swarupa becomes a second nature to it, and it drops that hypervigilance, and the final stage is what? Everything is me. Name chame. Yeah. I am not any of this. And then finally what? Everything is me alone. So first is the sifting, the separation, and then is the uniting. Both of them are very important pedagogical tools. The separation is expressed by neti neti, not this am I, not this am I, not this am I, not this am I. And then the uniting is iti iti, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is I, there is nothing that is not I. So the whole process is described in this verse. And the ultimate blessing, the prasada of this process is to see everything as that shining self alone. Nitya upalabdhi swarupaha aham atma. So now what does this atma do? What is the connection of the atma to this body mind sense complex is elucidated in verse number 6. No, not 6. Five. Manaschakshuhu adehe. Manaha chakshuhu adihi yasya saha. Meaning that which begins with the mind, eye, etc. Group of sense organs. So we are talking of sense organs. So that which is free of the sense organs. Viyuktaha means separated from. That yaha swayam manaschakshuradehe viyuktaha. Yaha swayam, whose essential nature, that which in itself is viyuktaha, not attached to or not in any way dependent upon what? The sense organs. Oh, so the Atma is not dependent upon the sense organs? Yes, that is correct. And then what are the sense organs? Because they also see, right? And they also come to certain conclusions. They help you to gather information. And the ahankara, the I-ness, the I notion, the ego, comes to certain conclusions. So what are the mind and the I? What is their relationship to the Atma? It is similar to the electricity and the various bulbs. When the electricity, which is common, a common undercurrent, pun intended, that goes through all the devices, it powers the devices differently, correct? Mm-hmm. It powers the computer. When the computer is powered, it looks different than the lamp, then the, some other lamp, then a chandelier, then a music radio, some music box. So it's the same electricity because it's the same plug point. Sometimes that plug point has, what is that? Several generations, it has multiple outlets. You can make one into, what is that called? Strip, power strip. You can buy one power strip which has 6 outlets. And you plug it into that one outlet. And what have you done? That same electricity can be powered, you can power at the same time 6 different looking devices. All you have to do is plug it in, maybe switch on some button you have to press. So the same electricity which powers one thing looks very different than the another thing, correct? So one lamp will look different from the other lamp. And when the electricity powers something, vigorous, like food processor, that looks very different from the lamp. The lamp is not making any noise, it is quietly there, and the food processor is making this huge noise. And that same electricity starts up a big factory that's producing garments. Think of the noise, think of all the machines, think of all the piston cranking and the wheels moving and so many things. In the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the first machine that was really, not one of the first machines that changed life as we know it, is called cotton ginny. It was called cotton gin for short. An automatic weaving device. And that is what brought this whole factory culture. Before that, everybody used to produce things at home where it was much sane and nicer, because they owned the working hours, they owned the means of production many times, and they had freedom when they would take holidays and when they would visit their relatives. But now, how many genies you could afford? Only one. Who could afford? The richest person. And so they would bring it in a dark, airless room and keep it there, and then sound the siren in the morning so that everybody knew that in half an hour you have to report to work. And half an hour later another siren would be sounded. And this is how it changed the face of production. All this one electricity going through these various devices. And some, in some devices it turns, and some devices it unravels things. Same electricity. And where is the change? The change is in the upadhi. Exactly. And so the same, Atma, the current of Atma, the presence, the ever-ready presence, and the Chit and the Sat, which we have discussed in detail, the Sat Chit Atma powers the ear to hear. You cannot say the ear hears. What? Exactly. So you cannot say the ear hears. The organ has a capacity to hear, just like the lamp has a capacity to project the light, but it is not the source of the light. So similarly, the ear has the capacity to hear, but it is not the source of the power of hearing. It is empowered to hear. That means it is more of a receiver. Even though the ear is not in the form of an antenna, you don't have to go like this, in the old ones, even now I suppose car antennas, except they are automatic. You just sit in the car and they go like that. But before you had to go outside and keep on making it grow. So imagine, imagine if there was one here and you have to keep making it grow like that. Thank God. It's a very high class receiver without having any of these, appendages. Already the person cannot walk in the house. Imagine if all those things were there. You cannot even negotiate a single step. So therefore what? So therefore it's a very high class device. Everything is communicating with the Atma wirelessly. Yeah. And this whole concept of Wi-Fi, the scientists got it from Bhagavan, from Ishvara. It's a Ishvarik or a Atmic Wi-Fi, because the first Wi-Fi, because there is no, no transmitting, no receiving, no wires. I don't have to be plugged into the Atma outlet for this body to start having signs of life, to be shocked into life. That is reserved for extreme situations, that clear. They do that, right? That's for extreme situations, but generally speaking, you don't have to be plugged in, you don't need paddles, you don't need anything. You are just communicating. The body is always communicating in a Wi-Fi way with Atma. It is non-separate from Atma. And the Atma says, hear, and the ear says, okay, what would you like me to hear? Whatever is said here. Only when Tattvamasi comes, check out. The rest of the things here. Atma doesn't say that. Ahankara says that. Ahankara is the interference in the Wi-Fi. When you have blocks, when you want to block off the Wi-Fi, what do you have to do? Recently I'm finding out all these things. You need lot of foil. That's why, you stealing the Wi-Fi from the neighbor, your plan is foiled because there is a lot of foil in between the houses. Yeah, you cannot even get it even if you want to steal, And then, so like this, there are so many blocks. This is what is called, Adi Daivika and Adi Bhautika blocks. Okay? Yeah. This is very interesting. So then, this is so exciting. So this is Adi Daivika block because for some reason, like in the Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story of that hapless fellow, the blind man who was stuck in a tower, on some kind. He went to a fort because there was a mela. What is mela? A fair, a festival. He went to visit this festival. And then not being able to see properly, he got stuck in this turret, whatever you call it. Turret. And then he was not able to get out. And then he kept, getting this sentry and asking him, can you please tell me the way to the village? And the sentry said, look, and he dragged him to the wall of the turret and said, keep feeling around. And the turret has two exits. One exit I am guarding, which leads to the palace. The other exit leads to the village. So you keep feeling, and when you don't feel anything, that means you have to get out. And half an hour later, this fellow is back again. And he cannot see him, and he senses a presence, and he says, dear sir, can you please guide me to the next available, where is the village? And he says, I told you what to do, and you are back again. Did you not keep touching the wall? Yes. Are you sure? Well, there was one time where I suddenly got an itch, and I continued to walk without touching the wall. So I missed the doorway, you see. So what kind of a block is this? Prarabdha block, Adi Daivika block, correct? Adi Bhautika block, meaning what? The knowledge is going on, the teaching is going on, but for some reason I am not able to make use of it. This is a sad block. So this is what is called the foil block in terms of the example. That's why you cannot get the other person's Wi-Fi even if it may not have a password, because sometimes the signal is impeded by the circumstances. So here too, the Atma, knowing of the Atma, the teaching signal is impeded by certain devices not in one's control. And then there is Adhyatmika block, a huge firewall, because everyone has to have a firewall, Wi-Fi speaking, okay, Wi-Fi-ically speaking. And Wi-Fi has to have firewall because otherwise somebody else can use it and then conduct transactions and then steal your passwords, steal your identity, do all kinds of things. So therefore, this firewall has to be there, correct? And so you have to generate a complicated password which you yourself promptly forget. Even though you have written it down, you don't remember where it is written down. So like this, so the Adhyatma block to understanding that Atma is transmitting, this is what it is like. It's like one's own firewall which doesn't allow sometimes the proper connection. It's a misconstrued firewall which does not allow the transmission to come. This is in relation to the teaching. But otherwise, Atma is broadcasting all the time. Atma is very difficult to ignore because it is everywhere. It is broadcasting a signal all the time, and that signal is picked up by the ears, unless of course there is a firewall or inner or outer block. So what is the block? The block could be that the ear is not hearing because it needs some repair work, correct? Some, age-related degeneration or something is there, it needs a hearing aid. That's one kind of block. Another block is what? You are present, words are being said, but nothing is going in. Why? Because the mind has gone away. Yeah. So you see the connection between the Atma, the power of the hearing, and the mind which allows the transmission to take place. So the three things work in tandem. So you can never say Atma is absent. That's why we have a special meditation called Shabdavidha Samadhi. You know, what is that? That anything that, I hear is Atma alone. You can sit and contemplate like that. You can say the ears hear. Really the ears hear? No, the mind hears. Mind is hearing? No. Actually the Atma is what powers the mind and enables the ear to hear. So in terms of our electricity example, so the electricity is flowing in the lamp, correct? But why isn't it on? Because the mind has to be switched on. The switch here is the mind. So therefore the Atma is transmitting all the time. And so Manaschakshuradehe, Manaschakshuradihi. That which is the mind of the mind, the eye of the eye, the sense of the sense. All from the Kenopanishad. Yeah. Shrotrasya shrotram, chakshushash chakshuhu, vachoha vacham, sa'u pranasya pranaha. And knowing this, the dhira, if you know this, atimuchyati. Atimuchyati means samsaram, atitya muchyati. The one becomes free. Free of what? Crosses this samsara. Samsara means not knowing the source of things. That one single source of all things, not knowing that as what? As myself alone. That is what is samsara. And so Manaschakshuradehe, Manaschakshuradihi, the one that is Manaha and Chakshu, for your Manaha and Chakshu. And then what? It's a very beautiful play on words. Manaschakshuradehe agamya swarupaha yaha. That which is at the same time not able to be objectified by the ears, by the mind, by the eyes, by any means of knowledge I have at my beck and call. So this Atma, this secret Wi-Fi Atma that is broadcasting a very strong signal all the time, and you want to go to the source of that signal. Yeah, because the owner of that signal should be very powerful. I want that signal, I want that source of that signal. What is this? Verizon? What is this? Comcast? What is this? I want to own that signal. Because then I can charge each time people hear. And make money, you see. I want to know the source of this signal. Can you go to the source of that signal? Can you pinpoint this is the source of the signal? No. Why? Because it is you. And what was our, baby Vedanta lesson? Anything that I can objectify is Naham, Naham, Naham. So that which I cannot objectify, cannot witness as an object, that is Atma. So therefore it shows the clear chain of hierarchy. The mind is important, the hearing for the hearing to take place, the ears are important for the hearing to take place, but both of them are hopelessly dependent upon the Atma, whereas the Atma is the mind of the mind, eye of the eye, ear of the ear, and it is not dependent on them or on anything else. That knower without mind, thank God. That hearer of everything without ears. That doer without hands and legs. That seer without eyes. So when you remove the eyes, because the eyes are limiting, you see? Yeah. That's why you have to keep, wearing this. Eyes means chashma will come. Chashma means what? Another upanetram. Yeah. What is upanetram? Glasses. Yeah. Upa means near. Netram, eyes. What is near the eyes? Glasses. So, and hearing again, sooner or later you have to keep, if you go to old people's, elderly people's houses, you suddenly get shocked. Oh my God, what has happened? Because they are living alone by themselves. And the television is enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. Thankfully, it's a senior neighborhood, so they're all living happily ever after. But this is what it is. So loud. And then you are respectful of them, and you don't want to make them, disturb them, but you cannot live there. You cannot stay there even for a minute. And so what you do is you just gently make it a little less when no one is looking. And then what happens? They say, oh, we cannot hear anything. This is the fate of the ears, correct? Then you tell them, go get a hearing aid. No, nothing is wrong with our ears. What's wrong? I'm hearing everything fine. So this is the fate of the ears. This is the fate of the eyes. What is that? Eyes means degeneration. What? Who? And then and then the mind copes very beautifully. You get used to not seeing things. So much so that you don't know that you're not seeing. And ultimately, as Pujya Swamiji says, you're happy if you can see the elephant in the room. Very satisfied. You don't hope for much else. And similarly, when the hearing is going, you don't notice it. You don't notice it, but it is going. Later you notice it and you say, oh, big change has happened because, you're not paying attention to it. And so, when you talk of a medium of sight and a medium of hearing and a medium of knowing, which are actually the mind, which all of these jnanendriyas are media of knowledge, correct? They are pramanas. So you may call it pratyaksha pramana, the first primary means of knowing. What primary? What primary? They are empowered by a big Atma there. They are not primary at all. There is something much more primal than these means of knowing. These means of knowing are dependent upon the Atma, really. So really, and this is told only so that all the ego invested in being a knower is dependent upon the means of knowing. Yeah, the ahankara is there. The status of the knower is filled with ahankara. I am the knower and I am going to abide in the knower. And this knower alone is me. And then what? The knower knows everything in a limited way alone. Because the means of knowing are limited, finite, subject to degeneration. So therefore, yattadadrekshyam agrahyam ashrotram achakshuhu apanipadam. This is another Upanishad. Which Upanishad? Mundaka Upanishad. And so that is the same thing which does not have eyes, which does not have ears, which does not have mind. But you have to say which sees everything, which knows everything. If you have a mind, you cannot know everything. You can only know what that tiny scope of the mind will allow, Even Einstein's brain, which knew a lot, is still finite. You can go see it in the museum. That itself shows how tiny it is. He may have held a lot of knowledge, but still the brain is sitting in chloroform, somewhere in Austria, I think, or Germany, somewhere it is there in a museum. You can go look at it. That means I can objectify that medium because of which he knew. That means what? Finite. It's all finite. So if you have an antahkarana, that means there will be problems. That's why Bhagavan doesn't have antahkarana. That's why Atma doesn't have a mind. And whereas you need the mind and the other means of knowledge to know discrete objects, you don't need to know that you know, because that is powered by a different, a much more subtle knowledge that is not dependent upon the mind. When the mind resolves into its own swaswarupe anusandhanam or avasthanam, then what happens? Then there is one presence alone. And what does it shine as? I am, I know, I am. That is what it is. That is the thought beyond the thoughts. That is the word beyond the words. That is the mind of the mind beyond the minds. It's not affected by any of these things. So this so-called knower, this Mudha, who is Mudha? The deluded one, thinks I know everything, or I have the power to sanchaya, to collect the knowledge. And whatever you collect is finite. Always recollect that, that whatever I collect is finite. If I don't understand that source as myself, which powers all ways and means of knowing the finite, is in itself infinite, and that infinite is aham. So manushchakshuradehe agamya swarupa. Agamya means not objectified. Oh, but it cannot be objectified. How can it be known? Because it's you. It's self-shining. Nitya upalabdhi swarupoham atma. It is ever ready, ever present. It is never missing. There are two ways of coming to know something. One is, it is pramana siddha, established through pramana, a means of knowledge, which is most things in the universe. To see, it's there. To see flower, you need what? Eyes. You can say, this is flower. Floweram idam, neuter. Pushpam idam, you can say, this is flower. And you need the eyes to see form, right? But then we are not talking of that which has a specific form. We are talking of that which empowers the eye to see form, which itself is formless. So to see flower, you need eyes, because the flower itself is, really speaking, as finite as the eyes. They both belong to that level, the same level of the empirical reality. So the eyes light up the flower, so to speak. But really speaking, the eyes don't light up the flower. The source is something else. But for this example, we are looking at something slightly different. The eyes light up the flower, and the flower, you can say, comes to light. This is what is called pramana siddha. This flower is objectified using a means of knowledge. But supposing there were no eyes to see this flower, no eyes at all, a rose in the desert, is it fragrant? That's the question, a Zen question, Yeah. A rose, if it grows in the desert, first of all, it won't grow in the desert, okay? Relax. And then if it grows, and if nobody sees it, is it there? Does it exist? And what is that other one? The tree falling. Pine tree falling in the forest. What kind of a sound it makes? Does it make a sound? If the cognizer is not there, does it make a sound? You can answer yes and be correct, and you can answer no and also be correct. That is what the Zen koans are all about. Koan, something like this. Koan, yeah. So how can you say correct even if you say yes and no? If you say yes, it makes a noise, because the sound has to do with the physics, correct? So the physics of sound of something crashing with a certain velocity, gravity, etc. So there is a crashing sound. Of course, it makes a noise, yes. But then you can be very subtle and tricky and say no. Why? Because is an unheard sound a sound? Huh? Something to think about. If the sound is not heard, is it a sound? Because that sound depends on me, on my hearing. So if I am not there, I hear doesn't mean this being. Atma. If Atma is not there, will there be sound? It's very interesting, And since the sound is connected to the cognizer, and if the cognizer is absent, can it even be called a sound? Very interesting. So, some of the things, many of the things, almost all the things are pramana siddha. Pramana siddha means established by a means of knowledge, like even our flower. The flower is established by a means of knowledge called eyes. A sound is established by ears, etc. You get the drift. So everything in this universe is pramana siddha. There is only one thing in the universe which is not pramana siddha, which does not depend upon a means of knowledge. What is that? Aham. And the word for that is swatas siddha. There will be a quiz next class. Yeah. So pramana siddha, swatas siddha. What are you? Habba. Yes, swatas siddha. I light up. I am like an isotope. I am self-lit. I don't need any source of light to objectify myself. I don't need to be objectified, and I cannot be objectified. So imagine a neon isotope, all on its own, powered on its own, self-powered. And so I need not be objectified by any pair of eyes. I am the final say. I objectify everything. Nothing needs to objectify me because I am always self-effulgent. This is what self-effulgent means. Ever ready, ever present, and never absent. Very nice, very deep things. We are going very, very deep into this text. Not for the faint of heart. Next one. स एको विभाति स्वतः शुद्धचेताः
स एको विभाति स्वतः शुद्धचेताः
प्रकाशस्वरूपोऽपि
प्रकाशस्वरूपोऽपि
नानेवधीषु शराबोधकस्थो यथा भानुरेकः स नित्योपलब्धिस्वरूपोऽहमात्मा. So, saha, that which, yaha saha, that which, ekaha vibhati. Ekaha vibhati means, ekaha means what? One. That much we should know. Ekaha means one. Yeah. Anekaha means? Not one. Many. So, many is correct, but literally it means not one. So, ekaha vibhati, that alone shines. And let us look at the anvaya a little bit. I don't know if I brought that here. Here it is. Yaha ekaha, that which is one, swataha, itself, prakasha swarupaha api, although self-effulgent, nana eva dhishu, in many intellects, vibhati, shines. That is the anvaya. That which although is one, and itself self-effulgent, in many buddhis, Nana here doesn't mean grandfather, okay? Yeah. In many buddhis, vibhati, shines. And what is its nature? Vibhati. That is its nature, self-effulgent. And then, for whom does it shine? This is very important. It shines for everyone, correct? It should shine for everyone. Like I said, the Wi-Fi broadcast by the Atma, the signal is very strong. It should shine for everyone. It should be understood by everyone. But not everybody understands it. Not everybody notices it. Not everybody everybody is powered by it. But nobody sees that they are powered by it. So what do you need to be, to understand this? You need proper receptivity. The receptivity is needed. The signals and channels should not be interfering. Other local channels must not be interfering. Correct? And then what else? The firewall need not be there. You can drop the personal firewall when you come to Vedanta. Because you are not going to be on fire. It's okay. You are safe. Finally it is safe. Oh, but I feel unsafe. It is finally safe enough to feel unsafe. Think about it. That's another Zen koan. It's finally safe enough to feel unsafe. So then that personal firewall, and what does the firewall represent? What does it represent? Not just ignorance, resistance. Ignorance everyone has. That is everyone's capital, starting point. But the specific resistance, blocks, fears, I am not good enough, I am not worthy enough, I am an idiot, I am ati mudha. Mudha. And then what is ati mudha? Extremely deluded. And so these are the fears that keep that, we shouldn't call it firewall, we should call it fear wall. Yeah, got it. So the personal fear walls, when they transmit their own signals, the Atma is misunderstood, not even picked up, not even understood properly. So drop the fear wall, and then what happens? Then what is the dropping of the fear wall? Antahkarana shuddhi, chitta shuddhi. And what is chitta shuddhi? Purifying the mind of all these nonsensical ideas about the self which have gotten attached to it by way of having a childhood. Enough. If you have a childhood, if the childhood is like a attractor of all kind of barnacles, Yeah, the childhood is, passing through samsara, ocean of samsara, and attracts, barnacles, the things that stick to the sides of the ship. Very difficult to remove. And so it's like that. You just gather impressions and you gather misunderstandings about the I. You gather wrong notions about the self, and you come to the very important conclusion which rings true all the time. I'm an idiot. Yes, ding ding. I can't do this, ding ding. I have no confidence, ding ding. Each one has got a ring of truth. That's why I'm saying ding ding in between each thing. Nobody loves me, ding ding ding. That rings extra true. I'm abandoned, ding 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 ding. Lot of dings. So everything that rings true is seen, is given the pedestal of being very, what's the word for it? Very true. And then what happens? The Wi-Fi of Atma knowledge, self-knowledge, doesn't go through this fear wall. It's literally a wall of fear, a wall of dread, letting the teaching in, letting the teacher in. That's all it is. Letting the Shastra and the Guru in. That's what it is. So this fear wall has to come crumbling down, and then only the Wi-Fi signal will bless. Yes. Yes. Then only it will bless. Until then you keep seeing that there is something. Because sudden moments of clarity, the fear wall has dropped and suddenly you pick up the signal. And then you have internet for a few minutes. That's what happened here last 2 days. That's why I'm waxing eloquent. And then suddenly it's gone. What made it come? What made it go? Big mystery. And so here too the jiva, who is not connected to the source, suddenly gets connected to the source, regularly in sleep, but we very rarely when awake. Sleep no use because you're not there. And rarely when awake gets connected to the source all of a sudden. And then what happens? Yes, woohoo. Yeah, and then woohoo, wonderful. I feel great. I feel so expanded and expansive. I feel like giving away all my life savings because I feel so secure. And then what? Suddenly the personal rain cloud in the form of a chhatri appears. One is cloaked in this rain cloud of fear. And the signal is lost. Yes, no Wi-Fi. Yeah, and then you say, I am deluded, I am far away, I am disconnected from myself, I am disconnected from Bhagavan, where are you? When am I getting darshan? This is when one becomes, a darshan junkie. It's because when you don't know that you are the source of that darshan, you are that. Atma darshan is the holiest darshan that you can have, Atma darshanam. That is the holiest darshan. And so here, therefore what? Saya eko vibhati prakasha swarupopi naneva dhishu saya yaha eko vibhati, that which in itself shines in many intellects, in many buddhis, all at once, without undergoing any change. When is it going to bless me as the truth of myself? Who is it going to bless? And the one word which we have been expounding is Shuddha Chetaha, for the pure-minded one, free of the delusive thoughts, illusionary thoughts. I am not good, I am an idiot, all the blocks, fears, resistances. The one who has dropped the fear wall can pick up this signal. Otherwise, does it not shine? It shines. Yeah. But, you are not in touch with it. You are not blessed by that shine. To be blessed by the shine, and what does the shine represents here? The shine represents self-knowledge. To be blessed by this self-knowledge, one has to drop the dread, fear, sorrow, hurt, guilt, and the wrong understanding of oneself. All the notions of oneself have to be dropped. And while the teaching does that, one also has to do a lot of inner work to help the teaching assimilate. And this is what is called Shuddha Chetaha. So, Shuddha Chetaha means for the pure-minded ones. The pure-minded ones benefit from this. And it shines in several intellects, in many intellects. How? Sharava udakasthaha yatha ekaha bhanuhu. Like the one sun that is illumining 20 pots filled with water. I just said 20, many pots. So, how many suns you will see? As many pots are there? That many suns? 20 pots, 20 suns. Are there really 20 suns? No, there is one sun and only. How do I know? When I have a free and a pure mind, when I have a Shuddha Cheta. Then when I become a Shuddha Cheta, then I know. So this is what is to be pure-hearted, free of ragadveshas. Because how to let go, this is what people don't understand sometimes. How to, I'll take 3 more minutes today. How to let go of the resistances and the blocks. And that resistance and blocks is all of them are fueled by what is called strong preferences. In fact, they are nothing but strong preferences expressed in the present. So if you want to go to the source, There are many ways. You can do therapy, all that will help. You can write it out, that will help. You can take a vacation, that will definitely help, Even if it doesn't help you, it will help others who don't have to deal with you and while you are on the vacation. So all that helps. But really speaking, those all are empowered by ragadveshas being in place. So the ragadveshas, the strong preferences that I have cultivated now, have their stories and histories in the past, when they got formed, the moment they got formed. And so the whole crux of the Vedantic life is to drop those strong preferences by doing what needs to be done rather than what one wants to do. So I convert my life. This is what is Karma Yoga. I dedicate the likes and dislikes, like even flowers at the altar of surrender, which is Bhagavan. And I do all the things that need to be done, which is within the cosmic flow, and I dedicate it to Bhagavan. And whatever comes as a result, I accept gracefully as a present from Bhagavan, prasada buddhi. And this is what helps to drop the strong ragadveshas. In India, the culture is such that you really, you cannot go to India and say, oh, today I have these plans. I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. You cannot do that. Because people who go to India go for self-growth, whether they know it or not. Some strong desire for self-growth has alone made them fly there. And they land there and nothing goes as planned. And what do you have to do? You have to keep coping. From a moper, you have to become a coper. Yeah, that's a very big transformation. Otherwise, one just mopes. Then from moping, you learn coping, you learn elasticity, a certain flexibility. Because, and also in joint families and everything, no one allows you to do what you want to do. You may have ragadveshas, but then the people that you live with have 10 or 15 more of them than you. And for peacekeeping sake, you lose your ragadveshas fast. Yes, so it's like a jet sets you on the thing. Here, since the culture doesn't support it, since the culture makes you feel as though you're in charge all the time and you can plan your day and you can do whatever you want to do, that freedom comes with a certain setback to self-growth, and there is a certain rigidity. It's all about loosening this rigidity. And more we'll see day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is holiday. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Any questions are there? Yeah, we don't call it selfless service, so to speak, because service is because of the self alone. But yes, doing things without being hung up on the results. Yes. Any other questions here? Yes.
You talked about surrender, and you talked about being a witness.
Yes.
When you are in the witness box, is that when you're doing the surrendering, or is it...
The witness is an attitude, surrender is an action.
Okay. Okay.
If that helps.
So, the witness is an attitude and surrender is an action. Okay.
Something to think about.
Okay.
Tomorrow perhaps it may come up again and we will look into it more.
Okay.
Any other question? Or rather, I have one more sentence to say. Or rather, the surrendering precedes, you can say, although it's all just chicken and egg, the surrendering can be said to precede the witnessing, because without surrendering, you cannot be a witness. You surrender the knower. Yes, the knower, the ahankara. Because when you know what is powering the ahankara, it has nothing to do with you. This fellow who thinks I am the knower surrenders, and then it's easy to get into the witness. I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, okay. I understood now. Good question. You have your hand up?
No, but I'm mulling. Because in hypnotherapy, there's a process for dealing with in hypnotherapy.
Hypnotherapy, yes.
Therapeutic process.
Hypnotherapy.
Yeah. In hippotherapy, perhaps. The sideways moving of the two. For people who have traumatic stress.
Yeah.
And what it has to do with is removing and removing from that particular thing. Because,
Yes.
for instance, if I have a fear of bees, because
Yeah.
one time when I was 4 years old, I fell into a nest.
Yes.
And every time I hear a bee or think a bee might be present, I go into the same state. Okay? And so the process is to become an observer. So you'll put the person, say you're in a movie theater and you
Yeah.
see this,
Yeah,
see this,
Right,
this
right.
past reality.
Just
and,
like that.
So it's
Similar.
Oh, okay.
that's
Same
and
thing.
what happened for me when you asked that question was, yes, the observer and the action.
Yeah,
So you
same
run
thing.
it backwards and forwards, and then it switches some of the chemicals.
It does. And here, here are some very nice questions. The brain is getting cleansed with each class. That's what we hope for. Please continue attending. Going to the witness state, is it gradual? No, it's not gradual. Right now you are witnessing. You can witness right now. Right now you are right now you are witnessing. You are witnessing writing this question. You are witnessing me answering it. You are witnessing the changes that you are undergoing as you hear the answer. So it's not gradual. What is gradual is abiding in the witness may take some time, because one is dethroned from that. Yeah. Now here is an interesting question. Let's see. Very interesting question. Are there any courses available to reduce ahankara? Very nice question. Are there any courses? Can you please tell me why anger occurs? Anger occurs whenever a desire is thwarted. It goes back to raga dveshas. Are there any courses available to reduce ahankara? This is it. Right now you are in the middle of it. Yeah. Surrendering one's likes and dislikes to Ishvara. Yes, it is a kind of letting go. Yes. This is it. This 1 month course. We didn't broadcast it like that because no one would sign up otherwise. How to reduce ahankara, that's the topic of it. Yeah. It happens naturally. If you keep studying, it happens. You don't even have to reduce it. It itself knows. The more you know how little you know. That's what it is. It falls in place. Okay.
Swamini,
Yes.
so this also helps to cultivate the prayerful attitude.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. The reduction of the raga dveshas and knowing that Atma is everything, from the attitude of the witness, the truth of the attitude of the witness is prayerful, because the witness doesn't interfere with anything, is one with the cosmic flow, and there are many things you cannot avoid, there are many things you cannot interfere with, there are many things you must not interfere with even if you can. and you allow things to be. And that is a prayerful way of being. And again, prayerfulness is both an understanding, it's the product of this knowledge, being always prayerful, and it's also a step in the way of assimilating these teachings, because the more prayerful one is, the better one is able to let go of one's pains and sorrows, because there is some place to put it. Otherwise one mistakenly hangs around with it needlessly. So the prayerfulness is both a rung on the ladder to moksha. The ladder is you, the rung is you, and then the prayer is also represents the top rung, really. So it is both. Nice question, very good. When is it right to interfere? When sometimes it would be callous if we witness injustice. Well, if you are able to do something for injustice, do it. But if you are not able to do something, witness it, pray. That's also an action. Yeah. That is what viveka is, when to plunge in and when to stay away. And for that there is no course. It is a certain growth and maturity that happens. As you grow in understanding, you also start understanding one important thing, that there is certain things which are beyond understanding and they have to be left alone. Yeah. As you grow, you understand your own sphere, even at the level of the body, mind, sense complex. What can I achieve? What should I put my foot into? And what should I stay miles away from? Even on the level of the vyavaharika, empirical decisions, that becomes clear. If you tell the 1-year-old, 2-year-old child who's wanting to hug a hot kettle of water, don't touch it, it will go and touch it, and then it will go and touch it again, because it has not understood that connection, that this hurts. Later on, after 3 or 4 attempts, then it will not go near that. Same thing with dogs, cats, like that. So it's a question of training and observing and being alert to what is one's purpose in one's life, and sticking to that purpose, because it works. That is your swadharma. That's what works. Other things don't work. Okay. Yes. One more.
And what you just said was, and sticking to your purpose, and so in desiring moksha, or desiring, whatever it is that I'm getting by coming to these classes,
Yeah.
as it comes in bits and changes,
Yes.
that's also an addiction.
Yes, but that's not an addiction because it's you. It's an addiction for something you already have, so it's not really an addiction. You see? You cannot be addicted to something that you already possess. You're addicted to something that is far away from you, and you're addicted to something that will put you in an altered state that you cannot get otherwise, like whether it's marijuana or whether it is alcohol, So you cannot get into that altered state yourself without that. But here that alter is you. The altered state is you. And that's not even a state, it's a constant. And so this is actually the ultimate, even if you call it an addiction to classes or to the teachings, it's the ultimate addiction, because it shows you the way. It takes you away from everything that is addictive and shows you your own nature. So really this is the final step of, even if you call it addiction, which I don't, but it is not an addiction, because it is actually a de-addiction. And so sometimes, they say, if you want to take candy out of the hand of the baby, what do you have to do? You have to give it some nice shiny object, something else. And then the candy will be automatically dropped and it will go, to that ball or something else that's being offered. And in fact, this is what we have been doing all our lives. First it was mother then it was father, then it was candy, then it was doll or ball, and then it was truck, and then it was school, then it was friends, then it was other people, then it was marriage, then it was job, then it was children. We have been just holding on to one thing after another. And each thing is ephemeral, finite. A non-thing really. And then finally what? Brahman. So if I hold on to Brahman, Atma, myself, then that also will go away. No, that is you. In fact, that everybody's purpose is to pursue moksha. That's really, and if you are doing that, you are fulfilling your purpose. Yeah, it's the truth. That's the universal purpose. And then, as far as the upadhi, the body, mind, sense complex goes, some people can sing, some people are good with numbers, accountants, some people are good with computers. You know, there are so many things that you can do. But really speaking, the ultimate purpose is it is de-addiction, because when I look at how many lifetimes I may have spent, catching hold of one thing or the other, it's devastating to understand that. So finally, to catch hold of that which does not grab you, that's the problem with alcohol. First you think you are catching it, and then it catches you. Atma doesn't catch you and make you addicted. No. That is you. It's your own glory. Who is coming to the 6 o'clock class? She will reply you. Give a few days. Yeah. Write to her again. Okay, you will. Who else is coming here? Okay. Then we will have it.